Hey guys, what's up? Today we're gonna take a look at the Legend of Nayuta, Boundless Trails. What is that? Well, it's a little action RPG released by Falcom as part of the Trail series, but is it connected to the Trail series? You know, Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel, is it connected to those? Is it a spin-off? We're gonna find out today what the hell exactly it is. But of course, we're also gonna find out if it's any good and if it's really worth playing. So here's my review of it, and let's begin! The original version came out in 2012, exclusively on the PSP, to some success in Japan, but with some balancing issues and annoying mechanics. Most of that was fixed in this remaster that looks absolutely fantastic, to be honest. I wasn't expecting it to look this good. You play as Nayuta and Noi. Nayuta is a 15-year-old kid living in a very small island with his older sister. One day, a ginormous ruin falls out of the sky, so he and his best friend Signa go investigate. Well, they meet the fairy Noi in what seems to be another world, vastly different from theirs. They also meet a beautiful girl who seems to be in a coma and realize this world is on the brink of something sinister. There's too much for the plot to be told in a nutshell, but it's really good. Now, this game isn't traditional. There's only one town where you'll do all your shopping and talking with NPCs. There's a store that sells weapons and armor for Nayuta, but you need to find ore in order to upgrade it and get better equipment. I wasn't a fan of this feature. Why can't I just buy new stuff like normal? Same for Noi. The store needs materials to upgrade the equipment they'll sell to you. Money is an issue here since everything is expensive and you barely get in the stages. But there's a museum where you can donate stuff you find in places in exchange for money. Not really what I'd call a donation, but whatever. You noticed I mentioned stages. That's right, you play every mission here through stages. There's a map in the other world with different areas you'll visit, each with a different climate, which can be altered later. When it does, everything including enemies changes. So you go around controlling Nayuta in simple hack and slash and some platforming in 3D. It works well despite being a bit frustrating at times. Noi moves by herself near you, but with an action button she can shoot magic spells at enemies. Now, both characters learn their abilities differently. Once you complete a stage, you get evaluated, and when you get enough stars, you go back to town to talk to this guy to have Nayuta learn a new move. Noi gets hers by defeating special enemies or elite monsters, or by advancing through the story. Combat isn't as great and fast as in the East games, but it's still decent enough to keep you challenged. Although I played on normal mode, it's fairly easy. My one and only complaint are the bosses. No, they aren't exactly tough or hard, they're extremely frustrating. Falcom wanted to be very creative with each, but all they did was make the battles tedious and annoying. Most bosses just aren't fun to fight, regardless of their difficulty. In this one, for example, I'm supposed to get up there to attack its core and I only have a very short amount of time to do so, but I can barely jump unless I use a barrier spell. It's frustrating. You have no healing items other than food your sister cooks for you. At least it gives you experience when you eat it. Other than that, I still find the game to be quite fun and enjoyable, somewhat addictive as well, believe it or not. It also has a very friendly interface, being able to teleport in and out of town or stages instantaneously, so if you die, even with its cheap deaths, it doesn't feel like a chore to try the stage again. It's a really good game, and this remaster is definitely recommended. So at this point you're probably wondering if this game is connected to the Trails series. There have been some fan theories throughout the years, but they're just that, fan theories. There is nothing official on Nayuta being part of the same universe. Everything is self-contained here, the plot, the characters, the lore, and the setting. In other words, you don't need to play any Trails game or anything at all to understand this one. It's 100% standalone. With that said, is the story any good? Is the translation accurate? Obviously the latter is mediocre at best, as it is done by NIS America. In terms of translation, you'll be surprised to know I'd rather recommend the fan-translated original PSP game from 13 years ago. The remaster also offers both Japanese and English dub, by the way, and as you may have guessed, I recommend the Japanese one 10 times over the English one. It makes dialogue sound more natural and the character development just feels better. But the reality is that the story doesn't really shine that much here. Despite being intriguing and interesting at times, it falls short compared to anything Trails out there. But I think it's charming, trying to follow a more traditional style of storytelling. You know what? Very reminiscent of many classic JRPGs. And man, we absolutely need to talk about the music! It's insanely good, including several metal and rock themes that will blow your brains out. This is the same on either version, by the way. No themes were altered, remixed, or changed for the remaster. But man, it's so good, I was not expecting a short little spin-off to offer such an incredible soundtrack, on par or perhaps even better than some of the Trails games. It's amazing! Oh yeah, very worth listening to outside of the game. And yeah, I know, I said short little spin-off, didn't I? Because this is a game that you can beat in less than 20 hours if you want to, post-game included. The latter is quite challenging, of course, so that'll probably take about half of that time. On normal mode, I beat the main story adventure in a little bit over 13 hours. It is disappointingly short. And if I can complain about one last thing before we wrap things up here, is that the platforming in some of the later areas is insultingly hard. It gets to a point where it's ridiculous and frustrating after not being the player's fault. I've never been a fan of 3D platforming, to be honest, and the camera angles and view are to blame for that. Look at this! It's an issue the original version had, and it didn't go away in the remaster. But okay, I already ranted about this in a Rage Quit episode a couple of years ago. So in conclusion, I stand by what I said a few minutes ago. This remaster is recommended. The original PSP version is also recommended, but in terms of everything except translation, the remaster just far surpasses it. Still, it's no masterpiece, and while fun, challenging, and addicting, it presents several issues that could have been addressed or fixed with perhaps more attention, budget, or time. Whatever the case though, I believe it's a very good action RPG with gorgeous graphics, great gameplay mechanics, and an unforgettable soundtrack.